Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Go.
Councilman Paul? Councilman Fallon?
Here.
Councilman Ondo?
Here.
Councilman Petrucci?
Here.
Councilman Stein? Vice President Bonidia?
Here.
President Ing.
Here. Okay, before we start, I want to, I see that Rainey's here and the mayor. I want to congratulate the ones who won the primary.
Thank you.
Okay? And good luck to you, come January. For the other stuff, we're going to pull back on some stuff that's hitting out there, that's all.
Thank you.
The stuff is hitting the street, you know what I mean? So, we'll go from there. Joe, you want to run this now?
Yes, I do. Paving update, our paving project with Liberoni is over, it's completed. I haven't heard any complaints yet. If anyone has any complaints or hears any complaints, please bring it to the table. Century locks and doors. Evidently, when they build jail cells, they can't sell hardware to just anyone. It has to be a government entity. Century Locks and Doors billed us for $14,274.42. We'll see that on next week when all the bills are paid. That will be reimbursed by Acme Lock and Door, who is doing the hardware. So when you see that, we didn't buy anything, that will be coming out of the contract. Halloween parade. What's the game plan on that right now? Do we have an answer? Are we going to have an answer?
I would think we are going to have the parade.
Okay, and then we'll vote next week whether we want to give the $2,500 to the Main Street Business District like we always do. We always have. Okay. Here's some people complaining about the parks and everything. Chapman, playground, the swings, and Woodhill swings. We did get a $241,000 grant a few years back. The idea was we didn't have the $241,000 matching money to be able to just throw it there when we had other things that superseded that type of money. So we have all these contractors next door that are making money off the borough, making money off this project. So we were waiting until the project was done and more or less solicit time, materials, money, labor, anything we can from all these laborers. Because anything that they would give us, or time, even time and labor, they take that right off the $241,000 that we'll have to match. And so will the borough, any work the borough does. So Rob asked me, when are we going to do this? And the first step in this, if we want to do this, is we don't have a project yet. We know that we need to have plastic swing sets and everything up at Chapman and Woodhill. But what we talked about at Vine Street with the pavilions, bathrooms, parking areas, they have like a, for lack of other words, mini Ryan Hackney Park. We need to get a project that says this is what we have, so then we can go solicit what they have and we can continue with the grant, more or less show what the project is. We got the money for the grant based on what we said, which was Chapman, Woodhill, and Vine Street. Now we got to put a formal project. So next week, we will vote whether we want to authorize the engineer to start the project. We want to get the project work moving at this time. We want to wait another month, couple months. What do we want to do?
A question. Don't we have 3 years to use that?
We have 4 years.
We have 4 years to use that. So we've gotten it a year. This past year.
2 years. So
when did we get the grant?
2 years ago. So this will be, we'll be going into our 3rd year. So we don't have to do that now.
Right.
We can wait until and we can even vote next week and say, we do want to do this, let's do it in the fourth quarter to get it off the plate and just, and then Colin would be able to, schedule his time to get this done, ask some questions and some other things. Everyone needs to have some input, of what it is.
No,
So,
Joe, it would be unlikely that anything would be complete this year, right?
no, correct,
So we're not in any hurry.
no. It was,
The question, the $1 million grant that we got from the county, is that a county grant or a state grant?
there's $2 million grants. $1 million grant is the FEMA grant that was given to the state, that the state allocates to us. That's one. And the other one is the grant specifically for the construction of the new building.
Now, is that what, well, who are we getting the money for the,
Arch,
yeah.
it's a separate grant we got. We received it already, but we have 4 years to use it.
Okay.
So, my theory is it's better sooner than later to be able to have a project in hand and then say, okay, authorize to move forward with the grant. But then again, we aren't in any hurry.
Right.
And you figure by the time we would,
It's not going to get done
done,
this year, so.
not gonna be done this year, we're gonna solicit.
Next.
Yep, I mean, we, that's something we can solicit in January or at the end of the year. People may have some more money that they want to donate to the borough. So maybe we want to do that. But it might be better too, to have a project that we can show we're looking to do this and we would like matching funds.
To get more money.
That's 3 grants we have, $1 million, and the 200,000.
Right, and then we have the bulletproof vest one with the recycling grant.
Right.
So,
Ain't bad.
so that's what that Parks Grant Dash Engineering, that's what that is. Do we want to authorize them now? My theory is if we don't want him to start working on it right now, let's get it off the table and let him time it. Hey, start this up in the fourth quarter. And that's something that Hatch will do, he won't do himself anyway. Office furniture for the new building. What we talked about is, what are we gonna put in there? Well, you look around everything we have. Mayor, I'm sure you don't wanna take what you have in your office now over to there.
Most of it's mine.
There you go. So, what we talked about is, in the code enforcement office, in the manager's office, in the mayor's office, in the chief's office, and in the captain's office, instead of going out there and looking cadenza, file cabinets, and this and that, let's get one big U-desk. We'll have file cabinets over here, drawers over here. Then we said, we may need more. But the chief may need something different than the captain may need something than the code enforcement officer, so forth and so on. So let's go with phase 1, and then we could go with phase 2 after we're in there and we see what happens and what else we need. And then other offices, like the fire department's office was more like a workstation. You know, they got enough where they can put 3 or 4 people at a desk area with drawers and everything like that. And then the other ones, for the most part, were just a desk and maybe a credenza, or like in the sergeant's office or the detective's office, desks, and they could put more file cabinets around, around the room. I think that, and then there's some workstations for the patrolmen and everything like that. So little things are a little different for like Mark, police clerks. Not obviously their stuff would be a little bit different.
Counters already going into the.
Yeah, counters are built up into a lot of things. So we looked at Easley and Rivers and Franklin Interiors. Easley and Rivers came with a proposal of $102,000. All this is both companies would be CoStar pricing. Easley and Rivers CoStar pricing was $35,000 higher than what the price that they gave us. And he came right out and said, there's some fat built in there that we don't feel that we need because you don't have to move a lot of stuff. It's just, building plan. Franklin Interiors was $142,000. And then the wall coverings for Easley Rivers was $8,000 versus it looked like it was gonna be 350, which would be almost double what Easy Rivers were. Becky and I started putting everything on the spreadsheet to be able to look to determine, and it came right out that Easy Rivers was significantly lower. The furniture they're putting in there is a laminate, built in the United States, and it's a lifetime warranty. So if something gets scratched up and everything is damaged, whatever, it'll come in and they'll replace the laminate. Harvey and I went out and saw the stuff, because you don't know until you go do that what it is. Most of it is the same type of setup. It's modular, you can do whatever you want. For instance, for the patrolman, we would have what, six work, two and two, right? 6 workstations, and then the drawers will be against the wall. They just pull them out when they need them. So we don't have. First, we talked about getting everybody their own desk area. You're taking up a lot of room from 4, 5, maybe 6 guys in a room at one time. So we're able to use the room a lot easier. It takes about 7, 8 weeks, they said, for this equipment to come in. We're going to do a walkthrough soon next week, whenever Pat's got, and just to make sure, okay, this is what we want in this room, this is what we want in this room. They gave it to us, and I have it if anybody wants to look at it. But we'll have to vote soon to look at so we can order this. Any questions on that? VPRP, Vacant Property Recovery Program through Allegheny County, 3521 Forest Avenue, applied for the Vacant Property Recovery Program, which is a program through the county where if the yard or even the yard and house is abandoned next to you, it has to be adjacent to you, they can apply for it to take ownership. We've done these before. Everyone who's been around knows what these are. More or less a formality, saying, the county's more or less saying, we're going to do this. Are you okay with it? And then we passed a resolution to show that we did it. What was that?
Is that just a half lot?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
I didn't see that hillside. At first I thought it was that whole hillside.
No.
I know there's a sign loft in there for sale for the hillside. I don't know who the heck would ever buy that, but I did see that little half lot.
That's a good program too, for somebody that has, or somebody has an abandoned house and you have this house as a rental and you want to take that one over cheap. Next, police computers. Because of the new building, they're going to have to add some computers in different rooms because there's so much space between them. And Mark and Captain Snyder are suggesting we get $38,000 of new equipment.
That's the forfeiture, right?
It can be.
It can be, right?
The computers we have now are about 7 years old. They're limping along. They need replaced. So I think the time is perfect for this. I mean, like I said, if it has to be, it could be a asset forfeiture bill, but it shouldn't be. It's something that we need every day. It's an everyday expense. But like I said, we need more over there than we have here, which we're spread out over there. We're going to need one evidence processing area down in the basement, which we don't have an evidence processing area here. Like I said, everything is a little more spaced out. But the ones we have now are under glass lighting, and they're HPs, they're serving us well, but they're less.
How many do we get back there?
I don't know what there's on the,
What'd you say, 8, Joe?
no, there's more than that.
Like 19 workstations.
There's probably going to be 3 in the dispatch room, 1 for our in-house computer, and we're going to be switching over eventually to a different reporting system. The reporting system we have now is through public systems, Tuber systems. I was just informed earlier this week that they will be no longer in business after next year. They're finishing up the end of 22. which is fine with us. We're already on the list to join the county's records management system, which is a better system than we have now. We're waiting for them to get around to us to do the install. And the tickets, under the e-tickets we talked about, the reporting system that we're getting from the county, at no cost, I might add, we'll incorporate those in.
Great.
So the one we have now is not equipped to do that. It's an antiquated system. So we'll be moving to that probably within the next couple of months. We're going to still keep the one we have now, the reporting system we have, because we have records back to 92.
Right.
You know, every record we have is in that system. We want to keep that up and running as long as we can, just to be able to pull up background information.
That's not the toughest.
That's a tough.
That is a tough, yeah, that's what. So once they're gone and they're out of business, we're still going to keep the records. that
We'll
we
still
have.
be able to maintain that for probably a small, fee, as long as the system will contain it. So, yeah, we do need to move, we do need to get the new system up and running. Instead of putting it here and then move it over there, just put it there, we can get through until that.
Another thing is that we don't take that out of the forfeiture, we can use that out of the ARPA fund. That's the million, where we'll get half a million this year and $500,000 next year. Yeah,
We could.
yeah, we could.
I don't want us to get jackpotted for what they call subplan with the federal government, because that's something that's an everyday need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see us get in a hole for $38,000 in the feds. But like I said, if it needs to be, it's fine with me.
Another thing is we just bought all that body cams out of forfeiture too, so
Right.
now it looks like we didn't budget anything, so if we take
Right.
it out of the ARPA grant,
That was $95,000.
yeah, we take it out of the ARPA grant, that will buy some time, and then if they need something down the road, they can use it. But we do
By the
have
way,
a,
they're fantastic.
yeah,
Those cameras are fantastic.
they, over the long haul, we didn't spend a lot of money out of that forfeiture grant, or forfeiture money. The 5 years I've been here, there wasn't a lot going out of there. So,
I mean,
do our share.
as we spend it, more comes in.
Right.
And because the court system was shut down for basically a year, not a lot was added. So I would say in the next few months, we should be getting significant deposits in that.
One thing to say about the cameras, the chief did say how good they were. I got to tell you, I talked to several officers who were not in favor of getting cameras, and they certainly have switched. And they're amazed at the picture quality, and it's there to protect them,
They know it.
and they know it. So,
I've gotten no pushback from one officer.
Right.
One, which is amazing.
that's why I wanted to mention it, because there were several that were against the whole policy of getting cameras on them, but not one has said that to me.
Times have changed.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Renee Library grant, I sent you all some things yesterday to look over. There's a education, Keystone Recreation Park and Conservation Fund grant for public library facilities. The only caveat on it is a 50% match, and they can't do it on their own. They will pay the 50% off, but they have to be sponsored by a municipality. So we'll vote on that next week. It's either we want to, and Commonwealth Consultants is their consultants as well. So we will more or less apply with them, for them, to be able to get this. And that's the only way they can't get it on their own. They need it. And then audit time, Mark Turley didn't increase his rates at all, $6,500 again to do our annual audit. And we'll vote on that. I'm not even sure we have to vote on that. Does anyone have a problem with Mark Turley doing our audits? I mean, it just seems like it's so much easier for the same place to do it every year rather than giving all the information from previous years, just like your own taxes.
He's very competent.
He is very competent. And he does Shea Cogs, he does Carnegie Libraries as well. And Dave, you want to talk about the last thing? Any questions on all that we talked about so far? If anybody has any questions from now till next Wednesday, please call me so I can either get you more information, we can discuss it, clarify it, whatever needed. In the general services area, we talked about because of rallies, correct?
Yes.
It kind of, general services area kind of says you can't put a rallies where they want to put a rallies on 8th Avenue. So we need to change the verbiage a little bit, and
Yeah.
Dave will talk tomorrow.
Yeah, they went in front of planning, and planning unanimously decided to change the verbiage, because the verbiage says excluding any eating and drinking establishments of any kind. And what persuaded, I think, the planning commission was, we have 3 general service areas. Whitaker Way, where there's a VFW bar that's been there for years. 8th Avenue, where there's a Cells Pizza and a bar. And then the other general service area, Forest Avenue up to the 8th and now, and there used to be Rocco's Pizza there. So either currently or at one time, there was always an eating and drinking establishment in the general service area. So we're not sure why that was included in there. Would you agree, Mark? Yeah. And Kevin? That was pretty much,
And Greg will be back Friday, so we'll talk to him about that. So I won't have the actual verbiage changes in the end, probably till right before the meeting. I'll get them as soon as I can.
well, I think you have to, I think council has to put a motion saying to allow Greg to start the process.
Oh, even just to change the verbiage?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
in the following month,
Just like another ordinance?
yeah,
Okay. We gotta change the ordinance now.
right.
Greg got time?
Yes.
I talked to him last night, I didn't know he was on time, so.
His father passed away, so he took his mother down to Florida to help move her his father's stuff out of their home down there. One other thing, almost forgot. I gotta get more information on this. IC gave me a $10,000 quote. Evidently, on some of the trucks, one of the garbage trucks, they pick up a lot of dumpsters on Friday. And once in a while, a dumpster's not too hard to pick up. But when you got them all day long, there's tippers you can put on the back of the truck that will help put them in a little bit better. I will have him have to talk more about it. This is what it says: Borough of Munhall Refuse Cart Tipper and Installation Quote. Supply and install Perkins tuck-away cart tipper designed to fold up to max height. I guess it's instead of just dumping it in there, it's coming up. Remove and replace hopper seal and lip and latch to accommodate one center mounted tipper. Paint new hopper seal and latch kit to match tailgate. Install on 25-yard 2R leach body. Tipper hopper seal kit, height, cap, and kit and all hoses, hardware and fittings needed. $7,400 installation paid, $3,500, and total $10,900. Doesn't include freight and tipper and hopper.
Is that just for one?
Yes, that's for one. Yeah. One thing I think of this is, it just seems like if they have them, it's easier. It's not as much wear and tear on the one they have now. So spending this kind of money probably will save money down the road. That's all I can tell you.
Okay, couple of things.
Excuse me, President. On that last, is that a safety problem, running on the truck? Or
It makes it a lot easier for them. And they do like Fridays, then we don't pick up, we don't have garbage picked up unless it's a holiday. And these guys, that's all they normally do. Like look at all the schools and churches and everybody that we have commercial pick up for.
Thank you. Mr. President?
Usually for the summer, so the next 3 months, we won't have a workshop, but Is there a way Becky, we can get the agenda out quicker
Yes, sir.
so the public can have that?
Yes, sir.
That way, they'll have time to look it over, what? I don't want to put out like Monday and then Wednesday of the meeting.
We'll do it as of Thursday night before I go home.
You know, get out earlier for them, then they can look at it, and
Absolutely.
then we can have it done.
Just keep in mind, when we have these agendas to put out, there's things that come throughout the whole week. So when we put out Thursday, we may have additions that we need to do. Like Termy, I just got this yesterday, the letter of engagement. So we don't want to wait for that for another month for him to start the audit. They want to start Tuesday. That's it. I mean, Termy was something we added, general services area we added, Carnegie Library grant I got last Friday, and that's about it.
And the other thing, when this workshop's over, I'm gonna ask the council to stay. Mayor, if you want to stay. Is Eddie the fireman coming up here?
I'm sorry, I was
I think the firemen are coming up here from down here. Either Mark or Sarchek. Right? We just want to listen to the firemen. That's all we're going to do is listen. It's not like solving problems. We're going to listen what they got to tell us, and then we'll kick that. You want to stay?
I have no knowledge of that.
That's what I was told. Okay. Rich said there was. There you go. Okay, so that's when this is over. Kevin, you got anything? Anybody got anything?
Yeah, I got one thing.
Good.
I don't know, the water fund needs to move that engine that's down by the Improv, that little engine. They want it out of there.
Why?
Why? Because they want it out of there.
I understand if that was what's that guy's name, Carrier, what is it?
Carry.
Yeah, I mean, that's the heritage from down in the middle. I mean, it's a shame, are they gonna take the ingots off of West Street?
I don't know, you'll have to ask them.
I did ask.
I don't think they own West Street, but,
I don't think they
you have
do.
to ask them.
I did ask the homestead council, that's all.
But, they're gonna move it. So they were gonna cut it up in pieces.
Really?
But I got Century Steel is gonna move it for us.
Where are you gonna put it, Mark?
Well, that was the problem. Originally, we were thinking of putting it right between, temporarily, right now. We're gonna put it between the tracks, across from the old,
Well, you're not getting rid of it, you're gonna keep it.
Oh, no, we're gonna keep it.
I was just worried about getting rid of it.
No, it's not going, we're gonna keep it and restore it and put it somewhere.
Okay, that's what I meant by the heritage.
Yeah, no, it's staying there. It's gonna stay on that side of the tracks.
Okay.
The COG, which owns that property, said that we can't use it there because they're using it for paving, for staging for paving this summer, so we can't put it there. So I was thinking, could we put it at our property down at the JA property temporarily? Can we just store it there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have no problem.
Anybody have a problem with that? Now we can figure out where to go. Rick, if we ever do develop that property, and like we were talking, put it by US Steel well on that path.
Absolutely.
That'd be a great place. But we'll see, okay. Do we need anything to just put it down?
That's all.
Who has the key to that?
All the police, aid day, public works.
But that's what I was worried about, Mark, not to be smart, I just, I didn't want them to.
No, I would never let that happen.
If you need any help with Century, let me know. I'm friends with the owner and the equipment manager over there.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm friends with Les Harden. I've known Les for 30 years.
Because they get the big gantry train still down there.
And everything's painted, and the pump house, the water tower, everything,
But I mean, that's nice.
That's not theirs, yeah, that's not their property.
I understand. And, Rich, you talk to them. Jack, I see you're here, usually a workshop, we don't, but since you're here, I guess you want to talk.
Do you want me to come back next week?
No, you're here now, Jack. Come on, you come up here. We can't make no decision tonight, but we can listen.
Well, I want you to listen and listen.
Okay.
Introduce myself. My name is Jack Carter. I own multiple properties in the borough. The one I'm talking about tonight is Main Street, the building across from Sherman's Pharmacy, 12-unit building. The rent is medium. I have people there for 19 years, 15 years, 12 years. I just lost one tenant. I have another lady put an application in for St. Teresa's. My complaint is a gentleman that acts up in front of Sherman's. I talked to a couple of councilmen about it. I talked to the police chief. He says he can't do nothing about it. The man acts up daily. He was there today at 2 o'clock. He dances, he yells, he screams, tells everybody happy Tuesday, happy Thursday. I have a lady in my building that works for the people the alert people. She works night turn. She can't sleep in the daytime because he acts up.
Horn people blowing horns.
Our police chief, your police chief, not mine, says he can't do nothing about it.
Jack, what I
Wait a
told you is
minute,
that.
well, let me talk. Let me talk.
We're not gonna have an argument.
We can have
No, let me talk about it. I want to ask the solicitor, but he's not here.
That's why we have these people come.
Yeah, okay. Am I allowed to go in front of your house and do that? You would have me arrested.
If you
Now-
wait people,
Well, wait a minute.
You don't need to get this aggressive, Jack.
Here's
You don't need
my,
to be this aggressive.
okay, here's my problem. I'm not shiny like Mr. Green, Mr. Wassick, Mr. McShane, the barber. Had they complained, something would happen. But I complained. Munhall Police, they've been mad at me for 20 years. Joe, you weren't here. I caught them sleeping on night turn. Their answer was, they've been doing it for 100 years, Jack. Calm down. I belittled Munhall Police in front of everybody. They have a grudge against me. One of your policemen is on Facebook in uniform.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get to the point where you're talking about.
Okay.
This gentleman about your neighbor, I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
All right?
I want
Bring
to
it
know
out with
what
the mayor and
you
the
do
chief some
about
other time.
this gentleman on Megan's list that acts up in front of Sherman's 3 or 4 times a week.
I spoke to our solicitor last night. I spoke to Mr. Carter in the past. I spoke with the mayor in the past. We have, and I told Mr. Carter to advise his tenant to call the police if she was being disturbed. To my knowledge, she has not called.
I've called.
We've had, I just checked when I was downstairs, we've had 12 calls about the man he's referring to. I think 9 of the calls were to check his welfare. So the other 3 may have been, he's out there waving at people and they're tooting the horns at him. What I told Mr. Carter, and what I told Mr. Carter is, he's sitting on a public bench that we provide him. Anybody has a right to sit on that bench. If we remove him, we're opening ourselves up for civil rights violation. I spoke to Greg last night. Greg agreed with me 100%. Greg, who I'm referring to as our solicitor. He will address it next week, if he's welcome to. I sat up there, I told the mayor, how long ago was that?
Well, a month ago, 2 months ago.
2 months ago. I sat up there for about an hour. I sat up in front of cranes while this man was on the corner. And I chalked on it every time a car went by. I think in that hour I sat there, there was 320 cars that went by. I think 23 of them,
I don't remember the
it was
numbers.
like 23 of the 320 beat their horns at him. So I drive by there quite often. He waves at everybody. Like he said, happy Tuesday, happy Thursday, have a blessed day. He's not using profanity. He's not causing a danger in traffic. He's not breaking the law. I can't run him off that corner. The mayor and I have discussed this. The mayor has went up there and asked him to move down to in front of number 4 Fire Hall so he wouldn't disturb Mr. Carter's tenant. I went up on 2 occasions and asked him the same thing. He doesn't want to move.
You
I
cannot make
can't force him
it.
to move. If I force him to move, I'm violating the civil rights.
So Chief, I have a question now. Now that Mr. Carter brings this up to our attention that he is on Megan's list,
I asked Greg, Greg said that doesn't change the fact that we can't violate civil rights.
what's the distance that he allows
It's not in
to
the school zone,
be in a school zone?
not in the school zone.
What is
Childcare,
the distance?
no, for childcare either,
Excuse me?
for daycare?
There's,
Is there a
the
daycare?
daycare is
Distance?
what, 2.5 blocks away,
Right by cousin.
right next to Cousins. It's, no. There's,
That's
Well,
what
what
I
can
was
be done?
curious about.
I mean, we need that
like I said,
comparison.
we're violating his civil rights if we force him to move from where he's at. You know, Greg will be here next week. I didn't know he was out of town. I spoke to him last night about this very subject. He said exactly what I just said.
So if he would jump into the street and do that, that would be a problem, correct?
If he's impeding traffic, endangering the movement of, people driving their cars or himself, then that's a different story.
And does the camera work right there?
Some of them do, some of them don't.
But you have to catch him there.
Right there, camera.
You have to catch him doing it because about a week ago or something, I'm coming down toward Cousins left. And there's a car, because he does that stuff, stop. They're gonna talk to him. Then there's another car behind him, then I'm parked behind him. He gets traffic stopped.
That's the driver's fault. That's not, wouldn't fall on him.
Right.
You know, if the driver stops in the middle of the street and gets rear-ended, that's their fault, their fault. If he's on the, if he walks out in front of their car,
Okay.
then he's at fault. But if he's on the sidewalk and they stop their car and they get hit or cause an accident, that's the driver's fault.
So what you're saying legally, there's nothing we can do.
So I've had complaints as well. Many people call my office and complain, and I've spoken to people. And other people have told me that he has gone into the street, which I've never seen.
I've never
seen that.
And we've had no complaints about it.
But I've had people tell me that. And that's why I asked, does the camera work at that intersection there that would be reviewed, what he's doing at certain times? I don't know if they work right there, and that's why I asked you that.
I will have to check which ones are working, if that one in particular is one working.
Okay.
The system that was put out there was not very good. Wasn't good from day one. So,
What Mr. Carter is asking, can we do anything? Is there anything we can do?
like I said, I've asked him, the mayor has asked him, he's not cooperating to move from that corner. We can't force him to do that without violating his civil rights. And then we're on the hook for a civil rights lawsuit. Is the ACLU will be right on that with or not?
Harvey, I'm gonna leave you with this. I'm gonna leave you with this. I was told, one of the police officers told him, I have your back. When a hothead across the street assaults you, that's me, a hothead, we will arrest him and you will own this building. I'll leave you to that.
Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Mr. Carter said earlier that the Munhall police have a grudge against him. To my knowledge, 85% of the police officers in this town do not know Mr. Carter. He's never been pulled over by us. He's never been anything by us. We have no dealings with him, so what grudge there is, I don't know.
Well, I think we have to go any further.
So my question is that not disturbing the peace? Isn't he disturbing the peace up there? Isn't he inciting people to?
He goes into business
disturb the
too.
peace?
He goes into business
I mean,
too.
if someone calls in that complaint and we witness that, we've not witnessed that.
If we took attention,
He's
we would
not-
just be hurting people.
He's sitting on a bench that we provide him, just like other people do on other
I
corners.
think people
He
can
happens
take
to
it in
be,
their own hands and stand across the other
however you,
street. Someone
whatever you
saying,
would call him,
child molesters insurance.
waving the people, telling the people have a
That's what's
blessed
up
day.
there.
I never seen him sitting on the bench.
I've seen him sitting.
He sits on the bench every day.
I don't see that. I usually see him standing at the corner right there, and he's waving to people, and like you said, they're honking the horn.
They're honking the horn.
But-
I never see him going in the street, he makes me happy.
If we take the fence out, we're hurting other people,
Walking by, I mean, all the school.
because he does sit there.
In front of the funeral home?
No, sure.
He probably knows the laws too, and knows what he can do.
Well, I asked him straight out to go up the other, he goes, I don't know if you want to.
Told him, I asked him the same thing.
The bad thing, I mean, I know it's free, but he don't even live in Munhall.
No.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and he goes into businesses too. I see him going in and out of businesses up there.
Yeah.
I live right there.
Okay.
So if more people would call, would actually take them, is that what you're
I
saying?
can't hear you now.
If more people would call, I live on West Virginia.
I know you.
And I have to tell you, Mr. Kimball, I refused even, when I see him standing at that corner, I refused to even go to Main Street. I turned down the alley and then go up Emerson. Because it just annoys me when he does his freedom, all his dance, all his antics, and I think, this is wrong.
Annoying you is not illegal. He has to commit a crime for us. We can't just
So
say,
isn't
we don't like
disturbing
you
the
and you
peace?
have to go.
I mean, isn't disturbing the peace him carrying on if more people would call?
He's not beeping the car. He's not beeping the horn. You know, he's sitting there waiting. Like I said, Greg will be here next week. Greg can answer the legality portions of that question. But we're not getting calls for him disturbing the peace. We haven't, I've advised Mr. Carter to advise his tenant to make that call. The day that I sat there and talked to him and asked him to move, 4 tenants from your building came out and gave my one day there.
What about all the children who go past here from Century, here from the...
We got a, I need a motion to adjourn.
He's not violating the law.
I'll make a motion when he turns.
Need a second, that's all in favor?
Yes, sir.
Opposed?
I'd like to...
That's it. All right.
7.
Thank you, people. Chief, you can leave.